Without further ado, we start with the bombshells. So let's start with the bombshells. There's two. First of all, let's start with a recap. So Johnny Somali is already a criminal. Somebody in the chat asked earlier, is he guilty? Yes, he is already guilty on 4 counts. So he is already a criminal in Korea, guilty of 1 count of obstruction, 2 counts of the Minor Crimes Act, and a 2nd count of obstruction. So he is already guilty under Korean law for these things. So we can say because of this chart, he is guilty. Because he's already pled, and you really can't take it back at this point. However, we cannot say yet about the 2 deepfake counts and the 3rd obstruction count, which we believe he pled not guilty to. So for these specific counts, we cannot say. But we know he's guilty of 4. He may be guilty of 7. And remember, he's being investigated for the Child Welfare Act, which would be 8. So there may ultimately be 8 guilty counts. The question is it 4? Is it 5? Is it 6? Is it 7? Is it 8? But it's at least going to be 4. So we're confident on that. We know that. And it's important to know this. These details, these legal details are important. And a lot of other channels skim them. And I understand why they skim them, because they're complicated, because they don't understand them, because they're not talking to the Somali conviction team every day. They don't know these updates. They're not geared in like I am. We're kind of running this thing against Johnny Somali. I get it. And I don't blame them for that. I don't blame them for making mistakes. But these details are important, and procedure and these details are how cases are won and lost. And that's why we go step by step. That's why we go piece by piece through this story, because you guys need to understand this story and how it develops. Otherwise, you guys, it won't make sense. People will, every time we do the trial, people think it's over. And it's not. These trials, they do pieces of the trial. They don't do everything at once, just pieces of the trial. So we're eventually going to get all the pieces to that story. So let's go. So we know the crimes, right? Let's get into the nuke. You ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A petition for severe punishment. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have officially filed in the official court records of Seoul, South Korea, the Western District Court, filed by a victim of the case, a rare petition that is almost never seen except for in the most extreme cases. And this petition is so severe, it could doom him to maximum punishment. It's called a petition for severe punishment. Now, what is that? Let's walk through the education. And this is courtesy of legal help from Korea that has walked me through this and has helped me explain this. I may not explain it perfectly, but I'm going to do the best of my abilities to explain it. If I have to give a minor correction in the future, I will. But this is the way it was explained to me. So a petition for severe punishment requires it requires 4 things in the filing document, 4 things to put in this document, which was filed last week. The first is that the person who filed it is the victim and that there was damage done to the victim. So that means that this cannot be filed by a rando. This cannot be filed by somebody who was not involved or not hurt by him, or just by like me or somebody on the Somali conviction team who wasn't there or experienced this. This had to be filed by an actual victim. That means somebody that can come to court and can testify. And they can come to court and point to Johnny and say he needs the maximum punishment. This is no third-party filing, just to understand that. Not at all. So this is a big, big deal that it is a victim that stepped forward. Because so far, a lot of the stuff has been done is by non-victims, et cetera, by the police alone. But now we have the victims getting involved. Next, you have to document any attempts at reconciliation or settlement and why they failed. So you have to put a list of any time you reached out to the perpetrator, Johnny Somali, Ramsey Khalid Ismail, and try to reconcile or settle. Here's the thing. Johnny Somali has never tried to reconcile or settle. He has never tried to make it right. He doesn't care about making it right. He doesn't say he's genuinely sorry. He's not. He's not sorry. Johnny Somali, Ramsey Goodspell, is not sorry. He's been unabashed. He said, F you. He's literally flicked off Korean media. He said, go North Korea. Hail the CCP. I love Kim Jong-un. He is the opposite of trying to reconcile. And that goes to the next one, lack of remorse or reflection. So this requires lack of remorse or reflection. So that means that that the defendant has to show he does not care. He does not, reflect on this. He does not, feel bad about it, anything like that. And that's what we have here. And it's only because Johnny Somali has doubled and tripled down, both against me and the Somali conviction team, but against Korea. He's mocked the judge. He's mocked the prosecutors. He's mocked law enforcement. And because of his lack of remorse, that is an element for you to be able to file. So literally, Johnny Somali self-owned himself into maximum punishment. The Korean system is set up to give you light punishment if you say sorry and you're remorseful and you truly go and make it up to everybody. He has never done that. And because he's never done that, he is absolutely boned. And beyond that, the last thing is you have to give a reason. So you have to state why you're doing the petition. Why do you want this guy punished? But the most important thing about this, the thing that I love about this, what I love about this is it has to be based in facts. So this petition, which was filed by the victim last week, has to be based in facts, not in emotion. So you cannot make pure emotional appeals. You have to state factual things that happened to you as a victim, and you have to say, this is why, because of these factual things, he needs to be punished. Now, obviously, your emotions come into play. Everybody has emotions. The judge has emotions. The prosecutors have emotions. Maybe even Ramsey has emotions. I don't know. I mean, maybe somewhere deep down in there, there's an emotion, right? But it cannot be a pure emotional appeal. And it's not. And it's been accepted it's filed with the court. So that means this should be sufficient. We'll see. So let's get to the rest of the next part here. This was filed by a victim. The victim was not Bong Bong. We know the victim's last name. Also, I saw people in the chat saying it's Dalgun. It was not Dalgun. I can say two people I know it's not. It was not Dalgun, and it was not Bong Bong. It's very likely, if you made me guess who it is probably a parent from Lotte World or somebody from the Seoul Metro bus or the Seoul, the bus system or the metro, the subway, right? So it's probably either a parent from Lotte World or somebody from the metro bus, which absolutely would be damning. Imagine a parent saying, this guy did this around my children. It was 100% not Bong Bong, though. We know because we know their last name, and it's not Bong Bong's last name. So let me just clear that up. It's not Bong Bong. It's not Dalgun, okay? So it is not either one of those two, right? And as somebody said, could it be a stream viewer? No, it cannot be a stream viewer. Cannot be a stream viewer. So that's another. It could be somebody that was damaged by it in Korea. If this is legally sufficient, that means if the judge accepts this, which there is nothing we have seen that would indicate the judge would not accept this. If the judge accepts this, it pretty much automatically will aggravate sentencing, meaning the maximum punishment category. Now, I know a lot of people in the chat are saying it's Hank. It probably is not Hank. It probably is not Hank. I can't say for sure it's not Hank, but it's probably not Hank. Because once again, as much as I would love Johnny and Hank to turn on each other, it probably is not Hank. Because Hank would not be a victim, and he wasn't there in Lotte World. He wasn't there for a lot of this. Remember, Hank as a side character really appeared towards the end of the saga after Johnny needed a roommate who, fit his femboy preferences and, brought him in and on board and into his bedroom. So let me explain to you guys how this is going to work. So right now we have our sentencing table. Here's our sentencing table. I've explained to you guys that the sentencing for the crimes can go anywhere from the mitigated, which means the lightest punishment, all the way to the aggravated max. So right now, before the petition for severe punishment, before this bombshell was dropped, this is how his potential sentence looked. It looked like it was going to be somewhere between 6 months and 12 years, right? Anywhere between 6 months and 12 years. But now, what we do is, when you do this petition, you essentially nuke the mitigated category and the default category. So what the table looks like now is this. This is what the table looks like now, assuming this is accepted and assuming the judge takes this into consideration. Instead of having a range between 6 months and 12 years, his range will now be between 4 years and 3 months and 12 years. So this is now the updated range. And remember, children, this doesn't include the Child Welfare Act. The Child Welfare Act. So I am very happy to have the 6 months to 12 years updated to 4 years to 12 years. That makes me very happy on the inside. And this makes me absolutely glow. Absolutely go, because we don't even need the Child Welfare Act, although I think we're going to get it, and that's our next thing here. We're probably going to get the Child Welfare Act stuff, because I've got a nuke on that. That's the double nuke. That's the fat man, the little boy over Somali, right? That's the next one coming up right now. Even without that, he's looking at a real bad time. So here's an update, big update. Child Welfare Act, the second nuke. The case against Ramzi Khalid Ismail, Johnny Somali, for child sexual harassment is proceeding rapidly. Police have interviewed the individual who filed the report. And I'm going to give you a little bit, while I won't give you everything, I'm going to give you a little bit of what went down here. So this person who filed the report was brought in, and they went through the evidence, and the police believe that the evidence which has been submitted, after going through it carefully, is very, very good. And they're going to proceed on this aggressively and strongly and quickly. They're not going to drag their feet on this. They're not going to make this take for, they're going to go aggressive with the Child Welfare Act as it's been refiled. Very aggressive. And we know now for a fact that Ramzi Khalid Ismail should expect to be interviewed in about the next month. In about the next month, maybe a little bit over a month, he is going to be interviewed. He's going to be brought in before police. And I know that all his little boys in the Discord are going to be like, no, that's not going to happen. Legal Mindset's making stuff up. Well, you just watch. You just watch, kids. He's going to be dragged in there in front of the police, presented with evidence, presented with the case against him, and asked what he feels about it. And I dare him to say he doesn't care. He doesn't know. I dare him to play ignorant. I dare him to pretend he didn't know what he was doing. I dare him to pretend he doesn't know how to turn TTS off. He doesn't know how to turn the speaker off. I dare him to do that. Try it, bro. You are in a world of hurt. The case that the SCT has gotten wind of and gotten into here and been put together against you is so strong. And you asked for it, buddy. You asked for it by continuing behavior, by targeting women and children, by picking on those that you perceive as weaker than you, because you're a small, fragile little man who will never be anything. You'll always be a loser, a nothing. And you're going to enjoy that loser life in jail. And after you're out of jail, you're going to be a loser after that. And you're going to be dragged in there and questioned right around the time of your trial. Ain't that going to be fun for him? Having not only a trial, but a police interview. Now, mind you, let me be very clear about this, because once again, always on my channel, I disclose facts. So we are not yet at the indictment phase. So I've shown this a lot, and people who watch my channel know this. This is a very important chart, and this is very important for you guys to understand. This is at step 2. This is at the police investigation step. This is not yet at step 3. It will get to step 3, but we are at step 2. But what I can say now confidently is I am very confident that this is going to go from stage 2 to 3. So I am 90% certain. Actually, I'll even up it. I am 95% certain this is going from step 2 to step 3. That does not mean it will ultimately get to trial, but this is very good news. Very good news. And when this goes to step 3 and we find out about it, we will tell you. We will tell you when that happens because we will know before Ramsey knows. Okay? And we will let you guys know.